What's going on, everyone? My name is Dudo and I'm the Goalie Gear Snob, and I'm going to compare the Axis XF Pro to the Axis 2. So let's get into it now. I'm starting off first with everyone's favorite piece of gear, the blocker. I've gone on at length that if you don't have a proper blocker, it's going to mess up your stick placement, how it feels out on the ice, etc., etc. So for me, the blocker is super important. So this is my Axis 2. This is what's considered the retail custom, or now be considered the Axis XF. So it is, I don't want to say a slightly lower line, but this line here has a little bit of less options than the XF Pro set behind me. We're just showing it off here. Fully bronze speed skin, and I added the Dallas green pad skins down here. So thank you, Market Pad Skins, for getting me that material. And then just showing it off here, this is basically what's going to be considered their stock blocker. So it has the kind of the straight finger protection right here. And yeah, so that's what the blocker looks like right here. Now comparing it to the XF Pro, again, this is camel, this is bronze speed skin, this is all solid. So when I compare the sidewall, you're going to see the difference of on the bottom here on the XF Pro, I have the straight finger protection. This is considered the curved finger protection. I believe I just said that wrong, so I apologize. Curved, straight, here we go. So I prefer this a lot more. You can actually see how this is starting to curl and kind of get stuck on the stick, and I like this a whole bunch more here. Flipping it around, you're actually going to see a different kind of palm material as well. I wanted a black overlay instead of the gray. I've really had no issues with that Suregrip, but I was just tired of it looking a little bit dingy, so I kind of just got it pre-darkened with the black material right here, but it is that difference right there. Also, I did just want to talk about the model differences between these. So again, this is the Axis XF Pro. This is the Axis 2, or what would be considered the total custom. So this is a slightly lower version. I haven't noticed anything different in the protection between these two, but just know that this is basically what the current NHL model is. This is what would be considered the retail custom. So probably a little bit lower in construction, but I'm talking like maybe like 1% or 2. Nothing so overwhelmingly different, but just want to show off that difference right here and talk about that. But now that I've done a quick rundown of the blocker, let's talk about the glove. So this here is my Axis 2, which would be considered the total custom level. I absolutely love this glove. This has been my favorite. This has been my go-to. I've absolutely loved it. This glove here is actually considered a game ready with D3O, and you can tell it has a D3O because you don't see those extra sew lines through the pocket, or sorry, through the palm right here. So you can actually feel and kind of see that D3O sticking up. So you can only basically get this on the total custom or the Axis XF. You cannot change the palm. You would have to only do that on the total custom Pro or the Axis XF Pro, which is the higher model, more options, but that's what you're going to be getting here. I did a single T, the intermediate palm. I really liked this glove, and it held up incredibly well for the time that I used it. In January, I entirely unlaced the glove and put it all back together, and I checked the palm and the cuff for any breaks, and I've had no breaks, no cracks, no issues, nothing to write home about. I've absolutely loved how this glove came out. The only issue I had was, for whatever reason, the material kind of started, the lace kind of started serrating the material a little bit here. So I actually loosened it up so it wouldn't happen anymore. It was just a tiny little tear that was right here. And I got a few small little pieces of where the material started wearing, like up here, but nothing really down at the palm. And that's what it looks like. I absolutely love this glove, love the 580, love the single T, love the look, love the break-in, really big fan of it. But when I compare it to the XF Pro, again, this is going to be a higher kind of model with more options, more colors, etc. That was bronze speed skin. This is camel solid. And the biggest change you're going to see is that palm right here. All the extra stitching right here is a classic telltale sign that there's no D3O in the palm. Of course, on the inside of gloves, they do write what it is on the inside. So this is a 580 Pro palm. This one is a 580 Game Ready, of course, with the D3O tag as well. There's no D3O tag on the inside here, so it's just a Pro palm. And while I've only used this glove a handful of times, the break-in is still getting there. It is very stiff. There's a lot of padding here in the palm. I would probably say that there's more padding here in the Pro palm than there is in the Game Ready with D3O. That is something that I wanted to go with here. And that's what that 580 closure is starting to look like. So that's just a quick comparison between these two gloves. While this one is still breaking in, I really do like that Axis 2. So now that I've compared the gloves, I want to talk a little bit about the differences I did on the pads. So let's talk about those. So this is the Axis 2, which would be considered the total custom level or the retail custom level. Towards the end of the video, I'm going to go over all the spec differences between the total custom and the total custom pro, kind of denote some more of those lines as well. This is basically going to be considered the retail custom. And how you can tell on the Axis 2 that was considered retail custom is that there is no NHL spec inside calf. On the XF Pro, the Total Custom Pro, it's going to have that, but I'll show you that here in a second. Just to reiterate some of the specs I had on these: 33 1.5 single external brake below the knee, but it kind of has a pre-curve to the top half of the pad, so it holds a pretty nice S shape. I did the removable outer knee wrap, which I was not using it on the pad. I had the single strap coming out just below the knee. And the other big change I did was I actually added my own lower calf strap here. It's actually a Bauer knee strap that I ran over the core lacing right here. And I just kind of doubled over it just to kind of hold the leg in there a little bit more. But these are a 33 1.5. I had no issues with the speed skin, how well it held up. Like, I absolutely loved this pad. But after wearing a 33 for a while, I kind of felt I'd be a little better in a 32, and I didn't want as much pre-curve in the pad, so I opted for a straight in the Axis XF Pro. But yeah, I have absolutely loved this pad. It was really working out really well for me. But I'm going to go over the XF Pro pad now, and I'm going to do my best not to drop everything on my desk right here. But this is the XF Pro. And this would be considered the Total Custom Pro or the higher model. And so on the Axis 2, if you wanted to get an NHL spec built pad, you would have to get the Total Custom Pro, the higher version, which would come with this NHL spec calf. Now on the XF Pro, the XF, the F9 Senior, not the F9 Junior, I believe it's on the intermediate as well, you're getting a fully NHL spec calf wedge. That's so sick. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but when I get into my full review, I'm going to talk more about this speed channel and this NHL spec calf wedge. But yeah, I am absolutely loving it. But these are 32 plus 1. I wanted to go with a very small pad. I didn't want to go with something as tall, so I want to go with a smaller pad, basically what would be my NHL spec LDS measurement, and just try to maximize the pad with strapping and other things and just really focus on mobility. And that's what I'm getting here. So just want to talk about some of the changes I've actually made to the strapping. I've actually added this from a True pad. It's just a nylon strap that comes out that attaches to the outer knee flap. It kind of helps pull the top half of the pad in a little bit more because this straight pad is very straight. So I'm trying to help curl that in a little bit. I still run the calf down here to the outer leg channel. I do not use the strap out of the knee block anymore to attach it here. I'm probably going to do something to remove this buckle, or even just to try to remove this part out of it. But for now, it just flaps and jingles when I play, and I kind of don't care. And then I actually ended up removing the bottom lower calf strap that I got on the pad. You can just undo it and unvelcro it, and I just kind of carry it around with me in my bag in case I want to add it back to the pad. But I've kind of realized that I don't necessarily love it there. But yeah, it is something that I might add back on at a certain time. The other difference I wanted to mention is that this is a tight fit leg channel. That one is a loose fit. There's only an inch difference in where they're placed, but you really do feel that on the leg while you're using it. So now that I've talked at length about some of the changes I've made, I'm now going to list through some of the specs and talk about the difference between the Axis XF and the XF Pro and what to expect from CCM. But before I do that, can we just enjoy how well this pad looks? I mean, absolutely gorgeous. So now that I've just done a little bit of a crash course in some of the different specs that I have done between my Axis 2 and the XF Pro set, I just want to reiterate that there are two models of custom available between these two lines. I know you cannot custom order the Axis 2 anymore, and you can only order the XF. I just want to talk about that. So we basically have retail custom and then what would be considered a full custom option, a full menu. So that retail option is what my bronze set was. That would be considered the Axis 2 Total Custom. And at the time I did have the Axis 2 Total Custom Pro, which I did use for a brief amount of time, but I didn't like that. I reviewed them for the company I last worked for, wasn't a fan of those, stuck with the bronze ones. Now moving forward, I wanted to make sure I got a full gamut of options to pick from, and I wanted a little bit more of a robust, a little bit of a stiffer pad, so I went with the XF Pro. So now when you're custom ordering from CCM, you're going to see the eFlex 6 Total Custom, eFlex 6 Total Custom Pro, then you're going to see the Axis XF and the Axis XF Pro. Basically, those two differences are just in the availability of spec options, colors, and a few more, I don't want to say kind of like internal core changes, but you're getting a little bit more of a robust product in the XF Pro or the Total Custom Pro eFlex 6. So I'm going to run through some of those options that you're going to be getting here. So again, I'm talking about the XF Pro and how you're getting more of those options. So on the XF Pro, you're getting more flex options on the pad, you're getting knee landing options, knee cradle options, more knee strap options, the option to add a thigh protector tab, more inner leg channel and calf strap options, more boot strap options, and more toe arrangement options. If you're just ordering the Axis XF, you're not getting all the extra flex options. You cannot choose the knee landing if you want 3D or Suregrip. You can't choose a special knee cradle option. You can only get the stock with the removable one. You don't have any option for a thigh protector tab. You can only choose between a few leg channel options, 2 bootstrap options, and only 2 toe arrangement options. So for example, if you really want a behind the heel bootstrap, you have to get the XF Pro. That's not available on the Axis XF. Speaking on the glove, you get more glove stiffness options. So you can order a Pro Palm, Practice Palm, Pro Palm with D3O. I did the Pro Palm regular, so it just basically just says Pro Palm without D3O. And you get more T options for an offset T if you'd like that on the 590. On the blocker, on the XF Pro, you get to choose the palm position and the finger protection. So it's just something kind of where if you want very specific options, you have to get the XF Pro. While I talked about it earlier that, one is a little bit more robust than the other, it's not like one is terrible and one is way better, but you are getting a little bit of a higher, I hate saying higher end, but a little bit of a higher end product with the XF Pro. It's basically the exact NHL product that you're seeing Demko, Markstrom, and those other guys use. So that's just something that I think if you want to get all those extra spec options, just go with the XF Pro. Yes, there is a little bit of a price increase with that, but for me, I think it's absolutely worth it to get that full line of spec options. Now that I have said all of that, I want to get into some of the colors. So yes, you get to order basically a lot more weave colors, a lot more solid colors, and a lot more speed skin colors on the XF Pro, and actually on the eFlex 6 Total Custom Pro. I just think that it is worth it that if you really want a sport gold weave, you have to get the XF Pro. I really think it's worth it to get that product. However, if you just want basically the stock product you see on the shelf, but you just need it in a purple colorway or whatever, you'd be fine ordering the Axis XF. Something else I did want to note here is that yes, the pad core on the XF Pro is a little bit stiffer and the game ready gloves a little bit more robust, a little bit more beefed up compared to the XF versions. So basically that's what I'm feeling on the pad, is that they are stiffer, they're built a little bit more robust, a little bit more beefed up, and I'm feeling that. So if you are kind of feeling the pad or feeling the glove in store and you want something a little bit stiffer, get the XF Pro. Now that I've talked at length about those two models, I did just want to talk about the All Out version. So basically, All Out is something that CCM offers where you can get a full printed version of whatever graphic you would like onto a pad. That All Out option, that All Out custom option has all the same spec options as XF Pro and as eFlex 6 Total Custom Pro. So it's not like a totally different level of custom. Imagine just an XF Pro with all those custom spec options that you would like and those colors and materials. You just get a special printed graphic over top. That is what All Out Custom is. I did have the time a while back to kind of order a 590 graphic onto a set here, and while I chose no to it at the time, I think about it every day. I really miss it. I would love to have an old 580 or a 590, even a 570 graphic across the pad here. Small tangent, but growing up, it was either pick the Vaughn Velocities or Coho 580s or 590s. I ended up choosing Vaughn Velocities when I started playing, and I kind of think about that every day, that I probably should have tried those Coho pads because I've loved my time here using CCM. So I've almost thought about trying to get into some of the kind of like the graphics I grew up loving. Thought about getting that on a pad, but we'll see what happens as time moves on. Maybe I'll end up with another H10 graphic like all the other goalies, but hey, I really love that CCM H10 graphic, so we'll see what happens. But now that I've talked about that at length, I want to do a little bit of a preview for my upcoming review. So let's talk about that. At the time of recording of this video, I've used my Axis XF Pro set for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and I absolutely love how they've been performing so far. It did take me a little bit of time to try to get the strapping kind of dialed in, but as you can see in these clips here, I'm actually really liking how the pad is performing and moving, and I think it's something that is just working extremely well for me. So I'm really happy that I finally got that strapping dialed in. But with the strapping, I really had to mess with it to try to get it to fit properly on my body, again, to try to maximize that smaller size I chose to go with. And the glove is taking quite a bit of time to break in. I did kind of understand that that's how the Pro Palm would feel. I just forgot how stiff it really is. So it's taking a lot of time for me to try to break it in and get it to feel right and kind of close just as well as that Axis 2 right there. But now that I've talked at length about my time, I've talked at length about all the different spec options that we've had. I've previewed a little bit about what's upcoming in the review. I do just want to say thank you guys for listening, and thank you for trying to understand a lot of these spec options that I have talked about here. What I'd like to offer now is that if you have a very specific spec you're used to getting on your pads and you're wondering if CCM would do that for you, I'll do my best to try to answer that for you. So comment down below with that spec that you're looking for, and I'll tell you if it's available on the XF Pro, or even available on the eFlex 6. So I'll do my best to try to help out there. So again, just comment down below, let me know what your specs are, and I'll tell you what model of pad it goes on. Thank you again for watching along and understanding a lot of these spec options here. My name is Chris Dudo, and I'm the Goalie Gear Snob, and thanks for watching. And make sure you stick around for my review that's coming out in a few months. Thanks for watching this video. I'd really appreciate it if you liked, commented, and subscribed, and also rang that cute little Liberty bell for some notifications about what I upload to my channel. Please check me out on some of my other social outlets. Are going to be linked down below.